higher strike to hit. Hi. Shall we start? Now, where did we finish? අපි කොහෙද ඉවර කරේ ගිය සතියේ? මම හිතන්නේ I finished the Pogonatu. Pogonatu ඉවර කරාද? Or did we මම සාමාන්‍ය Pogonatu ඉවර කරනවා ඒත් එක්කම. Life cycle of Pogonatu. Then Nephrolepis වලට තමයි යන්න තියෙන්නේ. That is the way it goes. Tell me, talk to me. We have to, yes, sorry. We have to start from seedless vascular plants. Sorry, Lamai, should I do a small revision with respect to the things that we discussed in the last class? පොඩ්ඩක් ඉක්මනට revise කරගෙන යන්නද? ඕනද නැත්නම් shall I take it from the particular part itself? එතනින්ම කරගෙන යන්නද නැත්නම් since this is a new concept for you අලුත් එකක් නිසා චුට්ටක් last class එක පොඩ්ඩක් ඒකයි මම අද හරියටම 6:30 කිව්වට අපි. පොඩ්ඩක් ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ ප්‍රශ්න නිසා delay වෙනවා. ලීක් ඉල්ල හිටියා. Was bit delayed. තව ළමයි ටිකක් පරක් වෙනවා කියලා දාලා තිබ්බා. Some of you have sent me the message that you are going to join at 7 හතට එනවා කියලා සමහරව දාලා තිබ්බා. I don't know why that is, right? මොනවද තියෙනවද දන්නේ නැහැ ඒගොල්ලෝ වැඩ. How about the others? Shall I go through the parts a bit or directly? Shall I take it? අනිත් අය දානිත් රිප්ලයි එකක් මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Right. Now it's all right. Hari. Microphone ni kada karanne dodi pani hari. Lamai. So in the last class we started the discussion of kingdom plant A. Members of the kingdom plant A have believed to be evolved from the group of chlorophytes. Then lamai mainly plants are divided into two groups as vascular and non-vascular plants. Vascular plants means the plants where a vascular system is present. Vascular system means xylem and phloem to be precise. But previously, before the initiation of the xylem and phloem, there were some primary primitive tubes which were known as other vascular tissues. But they did the same thing, transportation of food and the nutrients. Food nutrients, the minerals, water, right? They transported. Later, the best version is the one which we call as the xylem and phloem. Some version. Right? Let's talk about them later. So, depending on that one, we prepared a short note. A short note, you have that short note. I'm not going to describe that one, right? Vascular and non-vascular. Lamai, the most primitive plants are non-vascular plants. They don't even have a vascular tissue, so they cannot transport their food for a long distance. They cannot transport their minerals for a long distance. So, likewise, the transportation is a bit weak. As a result of that, they cannot grow very well. They don't have a good transportation system, so they cannot grow very well. And also, they cannot grow at environments where a lot of heat, temperature, sunlight is present. So these are problems. Is it clear for you? Right. These primitive plants were called bryophytes. Bryophytes, right? In that particular classification that I have prepared with you, short note, that it should be with you. I have kept the space here for you to write. In that one, we later put the different animal plant phyla. Api wenama division ekකට gihilla eka yatin under those categories we named for this particular group these phyla are present. This phyla belongs to this one. Likewise, later the phyla were introduced into that one. Bryophytes was a common name. In that one, the first phylum was also Bryophyta. Bryophyta, right? We came to that one. Prior to that, let's discuss the note. Right. This classification was prepared, Lamai. This is the place where you should write the particular classification I gave to you in the last class. Prepare a short note within it. Right. Then Lamai, this is the classification of Mika Lamai leave. Right. Then sexual reproduction of terrestrial plants, we discussed this one. Lamai, in the sexual reproduction, the life cycles of all land plants exhibit alteration of generations. The presence of a haploid generation and a diploid generation alternatively, with each producing the other. There are two multicellular body forms that alternate in the life cycle of land plants. They are haploid gametophyte plant and diploid sporophyte plant. That's why I'm doing this thing again. Other than haploid, diploid, when I'm saying sporophyte, gametophyte, you may not remember the thing. Right? It's going to be difficult for me. Then, these two plant types are morphologically different to each other. This is called the heteromorphic alteration of generation. I gave you a nice image. In our lives also, humans, developed animals, we also have these two stages, but not that much of a difference. When organism can, we also have a end stage. End stage haploid stage. It is represented by our gametes. Haploid stage, end stage. This is represented by our gametes. Egg, sperm. Then those gametes get together and form, right? Two such gametes get together and forms the organism. Organism forms the gametes. So two N cells get together. Here what happens is fusion, fertilization. Through fusion, N plus N. N generation, N plus N forms the 2N zygote. Then zygote goes through, even in us this happen, reproduction, meiosis. This goes through meiosis and forms the gametes. So 2N becomes N. So this is the haploid generation, this is the diploid generation, even in us. In plants, this can be very well observed with two different plant types. Plants vargama dekak තියෙනවා. There are two types of plants themselves, right? So we can find a different type of plant here, and we can find a different type of plant here. The plant which represents the gametes. Why do we call the represents the gamete? N generation. If you look at that particular plant, all the cells are N, haploid. Haploid කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Only one set of cells, chromosomes are present. Let's find it later. But මේ plant එකට කියනවා gametophyte. මේ Latin name එකක් gametes හදන ගහ. The plant which produces gametes, the plant which represents gametes at the end, gametophyte. Then later, those two get together. Actually, sporophyte කියනවා, this produce spores. Spores produce later, this stage, right? The mature or the organism stage is represented by the sporophyte. So every time, lamai, gametophyte is haploid. Gametophyte take an N, and the sporophyte is 2N. Gametophyte is N, and the sporophyte is 2N. Clear? Is it clear for you? Clear? Mekat balaga. I know that first time it's difficult for some people, and the others, Anita, Amatakai. It's okay. I cannot blame you in the first place. Look at the image number 1. How the alteration of generations occur. Right. These two plant types are morphologically different to each other. These two plant types are when you're going through the life cycle. This is called heteromorphic alteration of generations. Image number 1 should be pasted there. Then the gametophyte. Gametophyte means this particular plant, right? It is the haploid generation. It's a generation. Gametophyte is the haploid generation, right? Haploid generation. Under that one, I have given you a small space and given you right. Haploid definition of haploid. Haploid meaning. Write it somewhere else. Write it somewhere else. Then put it later. Haploid. Leave haploid here. Haploid refers to the presence of haploid refers to the presence of haploid refers to the presence of a single set of chromosomes. A single set of chromosomes. A single set of chromosomes in an organism's cell. In an organism's cell, cells. That means right? The organism, right? When the organism is in the non-reproducing stage, the body cells scientific term somatic cells. Samanic organism, when the organism is in the environment, his body is composed of those cells, somatic cells. Then we check those cells. Some organisms, for human, if we get us, there are 46 chromosomes which are in 23 pairs. 23 pairs. Right? Another organism might have 24 chromosomes. That means they are in 12 pairs. Another organism might have 78 chromosomes, which are in 39 pairs. 39 pairs. Is it clear for you? Clear? Then, Lamai, the diploid stage means 2 sets of chromosomes. This 46 is composed of 23 pairs. That means each of sets right? One set. This is the other set. Another set. 2 sets. So all these diploid organisms have 2 sets. Right? Haploid means when the gametes are formed, their number of chromosomes should be halved. If you still don't understand why that is, go and look at the meiosis and mitosis parts. A part of this, this is the somatic cell. When the gametes are formed, a set goes into this one. A set. That means half of this. That means 23. The other half goes here. 23. So Lamai gametes have exactly a half of the number. If this is called N, gametes will N here on one set. Somatic cells have 2 sets. This is called haploid. This is called diploid. You can define the syllabus. There is no any place to define this term. Network bandwidth. Is there an issue? There must be some cases. Right? Is it clear for you? Clear? Right. So this is the diploid and this is the haploid cell. And a haploid refers to the presence of a single set of chromosomes in an organism's cells. single cell. Haploid generation. Next one, diploid. Diploid refers to the presence of two sets of chromosomes. Diploid refers to the presence of two sets of chromosomes. Diploid refers to the presence of two sets of chromosomes in an organism's cells. There is in an organism's cells. So there is an alteration of generations in between the haploid and diploid when it comes to the life cycles. Haploid diploid Gametophyte means it's the haploid generation. Its reproductive organs is called gametangia, the places where gametes are formed, gametangia. Male and female gametes are produced in separate gametangia. Male gamete, that is the sperm, are produced in antheridia. Female gametes, that is ova, are produced in archegonia. Gametangia have a mother cell, that is gamete forming cells. It undergoes mitosis and produces gametes. Gametangia are produced by a protected by a sterile non-reproductive cell layer. Right. Gamete the plant which produces gametes, sometimes they are divided into two. In this example, male gametophyte. The responsibility of this plant is to form the male gamete. Responsibility male gamete, right? This is the male gamete. Male gamete is called the sperm. The place in which the sperm is formed is called the antheridium. Antheridium. Right? The female gamete is called the ova egg. The place where the female gamete is formed is called the archegonium. Plural archegonia. Right? Inside the archegonium, you can find the egg. Now you can see, right? Both these antheridia and archegonia are covered, protected by non-reproducing cells. They are the ones which we call as sterile cells. Gametophytic generation is finished, done. Then next one, then the sporophytic generation starts. Sporophytic generation, the next generation is called the sporophytic generation. Right. For that one, fertilization should occur. All the land plants carry out internal fertilization to prevent desiccation of gametes. I told you internal fertilization means sperm goes into the female gametophyte and the fertilization occurs inside the female gametophyte. Internal fertilization. Female egg or ovum is retained in the archegonium and male gametes, that is antherozoids, are released from the antheridium. Seedless plants depend on external water, right? After this process, lamai, the sperm and egg get together, actually fertilizes, right? Fusela forms the zygote, which is the diploid generator. Zygote. Zygote develops, develop embryo. Embryo is nourished by the gametophyte. The nutrition for the embryo is given by the gametophyte. Embryo develops into the sporophyte. It's just like this. Amoeba. So male and female gametes, egg retained here. Egg right. Sperm came. Egg is N. Sperm came from the external environment through a water filament. Wow. Right. That is also N. N plus N, it gave rise to the 2N zygote lump. This is a single cell. Then with the time, it matures into several cells. That structure is called the embryo. Embryo. Then embryo further matures. Further mature, it forms the plant. Same thing happens for us also. Matures into a ball of cells, then becomes the organism. Right? Then this developed structure is hereafter called as the sporophyte. This is what we call as the fertilization. Actually, fertilization and development both happens here. Clear? Is it clear for you? So the nutrition essential for this one, nourishment is provided by the female gametophyte. For this to grow, female gametophyte provides the nourishment. Female gametophyte right. Now you don't need to get color printouts. Color printouts just take a black and white printout. That is for two purposes. One thing, it's a waste of money, and the other thing is in the examination, whatever the diagram which comes to your paper comes as a black and white document. That's why I give you the black colored version. As much as possible, I give you the colored versions. Colored take a PDF and soft copy. It was the device if you want the colored images. So PDF you can look at that. Keep the two documents. Right? Color documents list. Don't take a printout. Printout color. Take a black and white printout. Black and white usually A-level class if you look at Oxford, Cambridge syllabus, biology, chemistry books, there are a lot of colored images. colored images තියෙනවා. මේ මම දන්නේ මේ වගේ papers වලටත් එනකොට ඉතින් black and white තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට printed papers වල ඉන්නේ, right? ඉස්සරහ නම් වෙනස් වෙයි, colored images will come, but still black and white images will be coming for your examination. Color paper එකක් දෙන්නේ දින එකත් අච්චු ගා ගන්න බොහොම අමාරුයි. ඒක නිසා take a black and white one and get used to that. If you want further information, that's why I have given you the colored image, right? Colored image as a PDF version, so you can use that one. Right? All right. Next one, sporophyte. Let's look at the sporophyte. After fertilization, sporophyte is formed. Last class, one of you asked, I purposely didn't mention that. Delay of meiosis after fertilization results in creating a diploid sporophytic generation. One of you. Good. Since you asked. This is the meaning. Right? Delay of meiosis in the after fertilization. What fertilization? Fertilization means sperm, that is N, joins with the egg, that is N, gives rise to the zygote. Lamai. If the meiosis occurred right at this particular point, what will happen? If the meiosis occurred right at this point, again this will divide into two, right? Four different cells are there. N with it, yes. But meiosis was bit delayed. During that delay, that same thing happens in us also. ඔයාලගේ zygote එක හැදුන ගමන් ඔයාලා reproduce කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා නම් will there be an organism like you? No. Delayed meiosis. Delay වෙලා තියෙන්නේ අපේ. Delayed means during this period the zygote grows into embryo වෙනවා. Embryo develops into, in this case, since we are in plants, sporophyte. Sporophytes are different in shapes. That's why I'm just drawing some image. Sporophyte. This delay, this is the delay that they are talking about. This is the delay that they are talking about. This time, during this time, the delay, during this delay, the zygote develops into the sporophyte. If there was no such delay, right at this particular point, it would be dividing into two. That is not a successful thing. Delay of meiosis after fertilization results in creating diploid sporophytic generation. Is it clear for you? Last class, purposely I didn't talk to you about that one. Is it clear for you? Sporophytes have sporangia. Sporangia means the particular places where spores are formed, right? Spores go into haploid gametophytes, then spores spread, then they form the haploid gametophytes and all that, right? Hari, life cycle. Just maybe you understood this one. Image number 4. Meiosis mitosis twins. Let's talk about that formation of twins under the human reproduction. Human reproduction is the meiosis never happens here. It's a haploid generation. Yes, if the mitosis happens here, the mitosis is not in us human blood. Identical twins are formed. Identical twins. There's another way of forming twins in the human reproduction. Yes. Identical twins are yes. Identical twins are formed. Hari, එනවන hari clear. I'll give you 1 minute to go through this one. Whether you understood this one, tell me, talk to me. මේ කතන්දර ටික තේරෙනවද? තේරෙනවා නම් good. හොඳට බලන්න. ළමයි, I have not given you a specific space here. මෙතන මම වෙනම ඉඩක් දීලා නැහැ. But when you are writing the note, please write the chart. මෙන්න මේ flow chart එක, life cycle එක මෙතන ලියන්න. I have given the space only for image 4, but please draw this again. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක කොහොමද අඳිනවනේ එකපාරක් ඒක අඳින්න මෙතන. Don't skip that part. skip කරන්න එපා. Draw it. මේක අඳින්න note එක ලියනකොට ඒකට එකපාරක් ඇඳෙනවා. That's why I have not written වෙනම space එකක් තියලා write කියලා I didn't do that one. But please write this. මේක ලියවෙන්න ඕන ඔයගොල්ලෝ right? You should be able to write this. ළමයි, this is the gametophytic generation, right? The sporophytic generation, the main plants thing. So gametophyte forms the two gamete, male gamete and female gamete. They get together, fusion occurs and forms the diploid zygote. Diploid zygote grows into sporophyte. Sporophyte, through meiosis, forms the haploid spores. Haploid spores are formed, right? And here mitosis occurs. So alteration of generation occurs here. Then 2A. And after the meiosis, haploid spores. This is N. This is 2N. Understood? Hari. I'm not going to talk about Pogonatu. This is the basic thing that I want to tell you. Just send me a message. Understood or not? All of you. if that delay doesn't happen, there will be a resulting offspring after. If that delay doesn't happen, there won't be any offspring. Offspring that won't result in anything. Maybe. Offspring in the band is very immaturely. Right? It's going to nothing will happen. Actually, this will be discontinued. Discontinued. Right? This will be forming just two cells. This is just a cell. Cell should be developed into tissue. Tissue required protective layers. All the things should be there for this to germinate and give rise to the next generation. Single cell is very much incapable of doing anything. If this divided into two and form two single cells, this will be nothing. A discontinue with me. Discontinue. අම්මගේ බඩේ කොච්චර කාලෙ ඉඳලා එළියට එන්නේ අපි නේද මාස 9ක් ඉන්නවා හියුමන් දාන අනිත් පැත්තත් තියෙන සෙල් එකක් එළියට දැම්මම දානා ඉන්නවා ගේම් බොයි right so it's really difficult for it to survive gametes release කරන game බොයි external fertilization some fish la difficult to survive ඉන්නෙම නෑ discontinue වෙන life cycle එක ගොඩක් වෙලා right හරි ළමයි today we are going to, the last class we discussed about the nephrolepsol Pogonatum life cycle එක බලා ගන්න right I'm not going to discuss that again. I just wanted to recall the terminology. Today I'm talking about the sporophyte, gametophyte, somehow, right? Don't know. If you have missed the last session, get the recordings. Recording. Now I'm moving into the Nephrolepis. We are a ferns here, Nephrolepis, right? If you have visited Peradeniya Botanical Garden, I think there may be some other botanical gardens too. With these types of things. Botanical gardens ගොඩක් ලංකාවේ. පෙරදිනේ ළමයි entrance එකට පොඩ්ඩක් යා පැත්තේ තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද මේ fern forest එකක්. ගිහලා බලන්න right? You can identify all these characteristics are fiddle head leaves. ඒක ඔක්කොම බලන්න පුළුවන්. හරි but don't touch them and all that break කරන්න යන්න එපා. When you are visiting if you visit botanical garden පෙරදිනේ මම ළඟදී ගියාම දැක්කේ right? ඉස්සර ඉතින් යනවා ඒක අපි බලන්නේ නැහැ right? Now we have epiphytes, right? Epiphytes are there. You can observe all these characteristics after finishing the plant. Right? At this particular plant, you're going to schooling field visit strip botanical garden, right? You can observe a lot of things if you are coming for trips. I don't know. Schools are started and trip if you come to this one, observe these characteristics. Observe the ferns, right? Or ferns, very beautiful. Lot of different types of ferns are there. Ferns there, right? All of you may have seen ferns. Let's talk about that one. Right. Non-vascular plants, right? The last class, sorry. Last class we finished the non-vascular plants. Today we have discussed the vascular seedless plants, right? Then again, after the image number 6, I have given you something like right. My life cycle should be written. Life cycle should be written again. Using the words. And draw if possible. Right? That's why I have given you right. And so but I just want to know that when I'm teaching you, I'm drawing a lot of things. You should also try to draw the life cycle. In the examination, it is not expected for you to draw. You are expected to explain this. You have all of you have seen Torana, right? Torana diya me balang inu godak pela. Palaveni kotuing kiyanne me kavigut kiyana nedi. So you can understand when you Torana dekkama meke dibbe right. You can nicely explain. Film එකක් බලන්න. දැන් මම ෆිල්ම් එකක ස්ක්‍රිප්ට් එක කියවනවා මේ. මොකුත් මතක නැහැ. ඔය ෆිල්ම් එක බලනවා. ඒතර මතකයි you can very well remember. That's why ෆිල්ම් එකයි book එකයි. ඒතනකො same story. Book and film දෙකම තිබුණොත් right? Most of the people the film the TV series will be the one which remains in the mind. මතක තියෙන්නේ අරක තමයි. ෆිල්ම් එක. The TV series, what you saw. Life cycles are to be explained in written words. For that one, you should draw it first. Into the account, when you draw it, image is given to you. then when you draw it, you can nicely remember. That's why I have kept the space after every life cycle. Pogonatum life cycle, I have given the image. This one also try to draw. As you can pull on with it. Especially the things that you should draw. The others should also be drawn. Spaces I have not kept different spaces because most of the times they are not expected to be drawn. But I'm going to mention, just put a note and draw them. Then make it gametophyte again. You should be able to draw that one. That's why I have given you some image. Then my vascular plants, right? Vascular plants are of two types: seeded vascular plants and seedless. First, we are going to talk about seedless vascular plants, right? Seedless vascular plants lack seeds and disperse by spores. What is a spore? Again, spore means, right? One cell is surrounded by a particular tissue. One cell is surrounded by a particular tissue. That's all. Now, seed means a very well developed structure. Let's look at that later. Product developed, right? A lot of tissues are there. Pterophytes. So there are two types of seedless vascular plants. First one is lycophyte, the other one is pterophyte. Pterophytes share more recent common ancestor with seed plants. That means pterophytes are closer to seed plants, right? Fossils and living seedless vascular, just stories. Vascular plants provide evidences for plant evolution during Devonian and Carboniferous periods. The ancestors of vascular plants already have had some derived traits of modern vascular plants. These plants lack roots and some other adaptations. Yes, still they don't have very good roots. Fossils suggest that the ancestors of vascular plants had gametophyte and sporophytes that were about equal in size. But among the living vascular plants, sporophyte generation is large and more complex. I have underlined that term. When we talk about the evolution of plants, we identify this trend. Which trend? Initially, the gametophyte was larger, independent. It supported the sporophyte even. So we call it as the dominant. Pora, Chandia, facilities. Gametophyte. Gametophyte was dominant earlier in these less developed plants. But with the evolution, gametophyte declined. This became microscopic. Microscopic, right? Gametophytic generation declined over the time, and sporophytic generation initially, Pogonatum, last class we discussed, it was not even green throughout its whole life. A younger, immature stage is green. Thereafter, it was brownish, yellowish. It was depending on the gametophyte. It didn't even have roots. But later, right, we find that becomes independent, photosynthetic, right, lives long period of time, grows larger, and does the other thing. Again, initially gametophyte was supporting the sporophyte. Later, sporophyte supports the gametophyte. So gametophytic generation declines while the sporophytic generation starts to incline and becomes dominant. Right. Then later, there was a huge difference between the dominant sporophyte and this is a trend that we find when we come to the trend. Significant features of seedless vascular plants. Significant features. Important to remember. That's why I have underlined that term. Among the living vascular plants, so we start the vascular plants from here onwards. Previously, Bryophyta. In Bryophyta, this was the nature. Gametophyte was dominant. Sporophyte was dependent on that one. But when it comes to vascular, from here onwards, it goes the other way, and the differences become intense. The method is practical. Within a gap in the value, right? The gap starts to increase. The differences in between. The nephrolepis, this one that we discussed, they are almost similar. Both of them are photosynthetic. What's the gap? Right. Significant features of seedless vascular plants. First one, transportation through xylem and phloem. Vascularly, right. The origination of the xylem and phloem started. Vascular plants have two types of vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem. Xylem consists of tracheids, fibers, and parenchyma cells. What is the problem? Xylem is the elements, fascia. Sorry, xylem conducts water and minerals. Cell walls of tracheids and fibers are strengthened by polymer lignin. Oh, you don't know, right? These tissues, we have to discuss these things in deeper. I have taken this one from the plant taking color. But all levels if you have forgotten, one of the tracheids xylem fibers, you have done that. Grade 11, first lesson, tissues. Other lecture go and look at that. Lignification in A levels, but there is also simple things. Secondary cell wall deposit you know all these names, the 4 different types of cells in the phloem, 4 different types of cells in the xylem. Quickly, O-level karani, grade 11 first lesson. These tissues permit plants to grow tall. This may facilitate them to obtain high amount of light for photosynthesis and ease the spore dispersal. Yes, la. Due to the development of xylem and phloem, especially xylem, right? In the next lesson we discuss, xylem is the one which is going to form the inner parts, inner strong parts. Right? Bark, aroma, different names are given. But inner strong parts are formed due to the lignification of xylem. As a result of that, the stems became stronger and also that allowed the plant to grow taller. Right? Grow taller. As a result of growing taller, one thing, they were able to get the light very well. Light, right? They can get the light. As a result of that, photosynthesis became more efficient. First thing. Second thing, as a result of this taller nature, they were able to spread their spores, later seeds, for long distances. Right? They go for huge distances, so their spreading was also supported by this one. Phloem distribution, phloem consists of cells arranged in tubes. If you have forgotten phloem, grade 11 first lesson. Phloem distributes sugars, amino acids, and other organic compounds, so products among the parts of the plant. Do you have any question? Did you understand this part? Transportation through xylem and phloem. So the first significance, characteristic of vascular plants is the occurrence of xylem and phloem. How that plants grow tall, grow due to the strength provided by the xylem. Xylem can provide strength, right? Next lesson, if there is no such strength, they cannot go such taller. They will collapse. There are 2 ways. Some are cell wall strong, some are they fill the water to the xylem. Next lesson again. Lesson parts. Others, did you understand? Points to go. Romin lamai me tamat link එක කිල්ලනවා. But me. No. There is a very long question. After the class දන්නවනේ recording එක ඉල්ලන විදිහ ඒ විදිහට message එකක් දාන්න. Name ඒ ටික එතකොට recording එක ගන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් යා ගිහිලා නේද? දාලා. නෑ. මෙහෙමයි ඒ ප්‍රශ්නෙට මෙහෙම. Are there special processes in vascular tissue cells identify products before sending them to specific vascular part? එහෙම නෙවෙයි. දැන් amino acids are produced in a different plant. Amino acids are not absorbed by the plant. Absorb කරගන්නේ ඔක්කොම එකපාරින් ඉන්නේ. පස්සේ කතා කරමු මේක plant එකේ තියෙන. Apoplastic pathway, symplastic pathway එහෙම කියලා තියෙනවා. Absorbed ඔක්කොම එකට එන්නේ absorb කරන්නේ. Now amino acids are not absorbed through the roots. They are produced in the plant. It was so amino acid, all the produced things are again go through the phloem. මේ මෙයන්. අපි බලමු ඒ පාඩමේ in that lesson let's talk about that. හරි? අපි ඒක ඉතින් බලමු. It's a different lesson. ඒක වෙනම පාඩමක්. හරි. Right. The second characteristic, the evolution of roots. Previously, we discussed that Pogonatum, bryophytes, didn't have roots. Something called rhizoids. Rhizoids right? Root means, in the next lesson, let's learn, there are a lot of structures in a root. You cannot just call something as a root. You can't root, right? A lot of structures are present. Huge diversity is there. Monkey over. Practical note is given to you. But practical note, I have given you the line diagrams and images. To call a root, a lot of things should be there. But in the bryophytes, we didn't find such developed roots. That's why the absorption of water was weak. They had to be grown near the waterways or something like that. Wet places, moisture places, right? But now roots start to initiate. Right, these modified modern roots with a lot of functional differences. Right, roots are organs that absorb water and nutrients from the soil. They anchor the plant and allow the shoot system to grow taller. They are to replace the rhizoids seen in the bryophytes. Just like I told you, they replace the, actually what happened was a developed version of rhizoids are called the roots. Developed version root tissue of living plants resemble stem tissues of early vascular plants. අපි vascular roots ගැන පස්සේ බලමු. Monocot root, dicot root and all that later. Evolution of leaves. ළමයි leaves were also started to evolve, right? There are two types of leaves. They are microphyles and megaphyles. Let's see what they are. I have given you a nice image. Microphyles are single-veined and smaller in size, while megaphyles are large, flattened with branched veins. So what we find in day-to-day life in most of the cases are megaphyles. They can again immature, sorry. Less developed leaves are called microphyles, right? Developed cells are leaves were called megaphyles, right? Leaves with branched vascular tissues increase the surface area for efficient photosynthesis, that is in megaphyles. Yes. So in microphyles, microphyle is right? But in megaphyles, you can see vascular system. As a result of that, water is spread throughout the leaf and other minerals are distributed throughout the leaf. At the same time, photosynthesis products, carbohydrates are also loaded from all the parts of the leaf. මේගොල්ලෝගෙන් distribute කරනවා. So efficient distribution can be done. That efficiently distribution එක කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Right. Most leaves that bear sporangia are known as sporophytes. Possible means sporophyte like right? Most seedless vascular plant species produce one type of sporangium and one type of spores. Therefore, they are known as homosporous. That's possible. Is it a goal? No. Let's look at the megaphiles and microphiles. Microphiles and megaphiles. Two types of leaves. These are the primitive, less developed. We're going to gap they are just fixed to the stem itself. And no vascular system, just a single vein. Primitive, single vein. But megaphiles, look at that one. Branching veins are there. Petiole is present. Natuak, petiole. Directly from the stem are growing. Two types of leaves are there. So megaphiles are the obviously developed. Alut term yeah. Microphile, megaphile, they are leaves. Me Latin numbering yeah. That's why I'm going so slow and showing you the images, asking you to remember. The meva andinde, please draw them. I have just given you the space. Draw just to paste this. But draw this. Make andinno. That's up to you to. Picture karla denne by mama images dila ned. I have given you the images. Image එක මෙතන label කරලා මෙන්න මේක තමයි ගොඩක් වෙලා even for 2024 students. ඒගොල්ලෝ දැන් තරහ වෙලා ඉන්නේ 24 ගොඩක් අයට මෙහෙම label කරලා දුන්නේ නැහැ මුලදී. හරිද? දැන් ඔයාලට මේක label උත් කරලා දෙන්න. ආලවා ගන්න. Because most of the students come after the class. ඒ කියන්නේ දැනුත් ඉන්නවනේ අදත් අලුතෙන් ආපු අය. There are some students who joined even today. ඒගොල්ලොන්ට පරණ දේවල්, all things, right? When they are looking at that one, they might be confused වෙන්න පුළුවන්. කොහෙද කෝකද අලවා ගන්න පින්තූරේ එහෙම කියලා. So I have labeled the diagrams. මේක මේ පාර පටන් ගත්ත කෝලමක් මේ ළමයි. 2024 දැන් මම දෙනවා දැන් අලුත් note එක ආයි 24 යටත් මම ඒකයි වෙලා යන්නේ note එක දෙන්න. That's why it takes some time for them. ඒ ටික label කරන්න සෑහෙන වෙලාවක් යනවා ළමයි බලපන්. ඔක්කොම කරනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ මේක අඳ ගන්න. මේකත් අඳින්න නෑ මාක් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. You should draw this one also. අඳින්න ඕනේ මේක. After the image 6 you should draw. අඳින්න ඕනේ කියලා දාන්න. Nervous system note එක දාන්න නේද? Before the class දාන්න. in the class එකට. That is for 2024 24 ළමයින්ට කිව්වා. මේක 24 යක් ඉන්නෝනේ. නැත්නම් 25 ළමයිත් ඉන්නවා nervous system එක දෙන්න. ඒකේ පොඩ්ඩක් අර label ටික හදන්න තියෙනවා මට. I have to relabel them. registration number නැති අයට මම දාන්නම් exam එකට life cycle එක එක වහන්න පුළුවන් sometimes the whole life cycle can be asked sometimes a part එකක් අහන්න පුළුවන් මේකේ ටියුට් එක බලන්න ටියුට් එක දීලා තියෙනවා මොනවද අහන්න කියලා මේකේ සමහර විට සමහර ඒවා ගොඩක් නැතුව ඇති plant එකේ ටියුට් එක ඉතින් සමහර ඒවා බලන්න plant එකෙත් මම ටිකක් දාන්නම් මගේ අනිත් revision ටියුට් එක තියෙනවා හරි හරි then නේද යන් ඉස්සරහ let's move forward then some plant species produce two types of sporangia බලමු sporangia කියන්නේ මොනවද two types of sporangia එක ඔක්කොම පස්සේ බලමු right megaspores develops මොනවද megaspores කියලා කියන්නේ microspores මේ spores වර්ග දෙකයි නම් එක පස්සෙට කතා කරමු right then image 6 එක අලවගෙන discuss the image 6 you come to the phylum Pterophyta වලට එනවා right most sporophytes have rhizomes and underground stem rhizome එක දාන්න ඕනේ right underground stem at the tip of the rhizome they produce leaves called fronds ළමයි in this Pterophyta right phylum Pterophyta right get that very well we discussed the phylum Pterophyta කතා කරන්නේ phylum Pterophyta under that one plant is Nephrolepis last class we discussed the phylum Bryophyta under that one plant is Pogonatum right so these plants that means Pterophytes phylum Pterophyta Pterophytes you become ferns in the fern forest එකේ තියෙන they have a rhizome roots from here and there then from that one leaves grow you know these are called fronds near my fronds කියන්නේ FRONDS fronds ගොඩාක් යන there can be some other fronds too then the younger leaves very much younger leaves are called fiddleheads not only this one lamai seekers වලත් මේක තියෙනවා younger leaves are curving right they are kind of bent inwards fiddlehead leaves fiddleheads these are the characteristics which are right at the tip of the rhizome they produce leaves called fronds frond many fronds are highly desiccated and feathery all species are homosporous which develop into bisexual gametophyte that means again now let's discuss all the spores are similar to each other homosporous right sporophytes are dominant look at the characteristic now in this one previous one Pogonatum recall gametophyte was the dominant one sporophytes are dominant here life cycle of Nephrolepis I'm going to show you the image number 7 but image number 7 එක මේ characteristics ටිකට frond එක කියන්නේ මොනවද right unit 2 tube එකේ තව ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද අපි බලමු එක දවසක් අල්ලගෙන ටික ඉවර කරලා දාන්න ඕනේ ඉක්මනට after finishing this one මේක ඉවර කරලා අල්ලගමු look at the image 7 එක බලන්න frond rhizome I'll give you 2 minutes ඉඩාට දෙකක් විතර දෙන්න ළමයි take a small break ඊට පස්සේ අපි යනවා කෙලින්ම Nephrolepis life cycle එකම discuss කරන්න Right. Let's talk about the life cycle of Nephrolepis. So the immediate characteristic that you observe is Lamai, the sporophyte becomes dominant. Sporophyte becomes dominant means Lamai. Dominant kirika, we can define it in different ways. One thing, larger in size, locui, right? And it is long-lived life cycle. When we take the life cycle, the long-lived, that is the dominant one. That is one way. Sometimes the less dominant one depends on the other one. It can support likewise. But most of the times, the dominant kirika defined the one which lives for a longer period of time and independent. Independent, right? It doesn't require anything else. Photosynthesis, right? Dominant. So the dominance is changed here. Plant body is differentiated into roots, stems, and leaves. Cuticle is found on aerial parts of the plant body. This is another interesting characteristic, in leaves. Cuticles, right? We have to talk about the plant later, but on the plant leaf, to avoid the vaporization of water. Water vaporization එක අඩු කරන්න නැත්නම් නතර කරලම දාන්න. On the leaf there is a waxy chemical deposited. හොඳටම තියෙනවා මේක ළමයි. Temple trees අරලිය වල බලන්න, right? The temple tree leaf you can find it thick waxy cuticle, that's how we call it, right? So this is a very good terrestrial adaptation due to this one, water evaporation through leaves. In other terms, transpiration is minimized as much as possible. Right? Cuticle is found on the aerial parts of the plant body, not only on leaves. Right? Stomata are developed on aerial parts of for gaseous exchange. You know about stomata. Stomata is also found here, and that is stomata here. That is for gaseous exchange, carbon dioxide and oxygen. Stomata here. Two types of vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, are developed. And now you already know that one. We are talking about the vascular plants, right? Sporophytes have fiddlehead young leaves. Fiddlehead leaves means, just like I told you, when the leaves are younger from the rhizome, leaves are, right? Later, they develop into fronds, right? Fronds. Stem is underground rhizome. So this part is under. Sometimes this can be found. Right? In banana also you can find some, but most of the times it is underground. Right? Botanical garden prawns right? Prawns. Leaves are compound pinnate leaves. Compound leaves are that's a grade 7 come in, right? Leaf is a compound leaf, just like in coconut. The leaf is composed of several leaflets in mimic. The best example for a compound leaf is coconut. Simple leaves and compound leaves. Grade 7. These are compound leaves. These are leaflets. Yes. Right. Leaflets. Pinnate leaf is a leaf that resembles a feather. Pinnate leaf actually can be feather, right? It has the leaflets on each side of the common axis. Simple. Long underground branches called stolons arise from rhizome. They give rise to new plantlets. Let's see. Stolons new plants are formed. Right. Sporangia are developed. Right. Let's look at the image. Image identify image number 8. Did you understand front? Right? pinnate කියන්නේ පිනා කියලා මෙතන දාලා තියෙනවා right leaflet pineal කියන එක නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට නැහැ sub leaflets කියලා තියෙනවා ඒවා නැහැ right but I have just given you pinnate එක බලන්න ඒවා ටික ඔක්කොම let's go slowly මින් යන් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ Stolons කියලා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ හරිය ගෙනියනවා right they have not මම පස්සේ පෙන්නනවා නම් in the life cycles we have the image එකක් තියෙනවා මෙන්න මේ වගේ they give rise to the next one ඊළඟ කියන්නේ එතනින් stolons right? from the rhizome මෙහෙම එනවා roots stolons right then ළමයි the plant which you were talking about is the sporophyte අන්න නේද sporophytic generation is dominant so we were talking about the sporophyte what is the responsibility of the sporophyte sporophyte එකේ responsibility එක මොකක්ද producing spores spores හදන්න what is the place ඔන්න නම දාන්න මතක නම් what do we call the place where the spores are formed spores හැදෙන තැනට කියන නම මොකක්ද what do we call it the place where spores are formed Antheridia Rone Mecone yes හරි others අනිත් අය මොකද දන්නේද ඈ sporangium is the term that I was looking for හරිද Antheridium margigonium එකත් අතර ගිහිල්ලා ඉන්නේ ඈ ඔය gametangia කියන්නේ අන්නේද right ළමයි sporangia කියන එක තේරෙනවනේ right ළමයි then we should see අපි බලන්න ඕනේ where the sporangia is present මම යනවා තැනට මෙන්න leaf එක it is present at the leaf the leaf එක තියෙනවා this is a leaflet එකක් නේ Make other side එක අනිත් පැත්ත. I'm going to show you an image too. පිටුර එකක් පෙන්නනවා. Right? When you turn this over, අනිත් පැත්තට හැරෙනවා. Inside the leaf, leaf එක ඇතුලේ you can see this sporangia. Let me leaflet එක. The smaller leaflet is the one that I have drawn. ඉන්න මෙහෙම. Now you can find a lot of sporangia. Plural. Right? මෙන්න මේ වගේ තමයි spores හැදෙන්නේ. A lot of sporangia can be formed. Sporangia. Right? Sporophyte එකේ leaf එකේ other side එක. You should turn that over. That is a tactic they have used. You will use the tactic එකක්. If the sporangia was in the top side, right? උඩ පැත්තෙන් තිබ්බනම් or dorsal ventral කියලා ලස්සන නමක් use කරන්නේ. Later let's use it, right? උඩ පැත්තේ තිබ්බනම් it will be directly exposed to the sunlight and get dried up. නේ? වෙලිලා යයි. So they are in the lower side. මෙතන තමයි, right? When you look at that in detail, තව පොඩ්ඩක් එක ලොකු කරලා බලන්න. Right? When you take another look at this, ටිකක් හොඳට බලනකොට if the leaf is like this, leaf එක මෙහෙම නම් magnify කරලා තියෙනවා. Sporangia is like this. මෙන්න මෙහෙම තියෙන්නේ මේ sporangia. Several sporangia are there, තුනක්. Right. Then they are covered by a structure called indusium. Cover වෙලා තියෙන තොප්පියක් වගේ. This particular indusium is the one which we see like this. අපිට පේන්නේ මෙන්න මේක. So this is the leaf. අනිත් පැත්තට turn කරලා තියෙනවා. So this indusium is the one which we see like this top එක. This indusium also help to protect these sporangia from sunlight and all the other things. So this is the particular place where spores of Nephrolepis plant is formed. මෙයා තියෙන්නේ මෙතන, this single one that is inside that. Did you understand? තේරුණාද? sporangia එක තියෙන තැන. If you have some ferns, garden එකට ගිහලා නම් කරන්න එපා සමහර විට ඕගොල්ලන්ට yes එළවයි. Be careful, right? If you have some ferns at your household, ගෙදර තියෙනවා නම් you can try it. try කරලා බලන්න. යටින් තියෙනවා. I have අපේ ගෙදර තියෙනවා මම දැකලා තියෙන එක නිසා. You can try it. Right, this is how it looks. Right? මේ බලන්න. The leaf එක උඩින් තියෙන. It's over. Right? So this is a sporangium. ගොඩාක් enlarge කරපු එකක්, right? Is an image which is enlarged a lot. තනින් තර නිකන් තරු වගේ පේන එක නිකන් erase කරලා. The one that I draw, right? Right. So this is the one. We leave it උඩ පැත්ත, the top side, and at the bottom side, like this, මේ වගේ, you can find it, right? Maybe is the structure. Now, these are sporangia, the places where spores are formed. Meaning spores හැදිලා යන්නේ. Right. Sporangia. Get this? Make it that I have drawn enlarge right? Inducium right. Right. Let's read this. Long underground branches called stolons arise from the rhizome. Sporangia are developed as clusters called sori on the underside of the mature leaflets. So what we are seeing are sori, right? Sori are covered by indusium, protecting the young sporangia from desiccation. Spores are produced in the sporangium by meiosis and are homosporous. Let's try to identify, understand your image. Image number 9. All the terms are not important. In terms of the part came out is the hat-like structures. You can see that inducium. Inducium is the pain. What we are seeing in brown color is the inducium. Inducium sporangium cluster. Sorry here. Sorry. Sporangium cluster. Right? Dark, pokura. The sporangium clusters. Sporangia clusters. So, with respected, connected to the midrib, on the midrib leaf leaf connected to the lower part, inducium. This whole thing is called the sorus. If you magnify that one, you will see it like the cells go down. Inducium nicely covers. Inducium can cover, And these are the sporangia clusters. How nice they are. Maybe first time they are question for the examination. So please learn them. That's why I'm taking a lot of time sharing you thousands of images. Syllabus images. count I have given you the numbers. Image set count that are going image set 13. Set images this year we didn't even come close to animal part When sorus mature, indusium dries up and shrivels. Dry haleno falls, exposing mature sporangia. Then what happens? Lower part of the leaflet is like this. Sporangia clusters are like this, and clusters go down here. Sporangia. So when they mature, indusium drops. So these sporangia are exposed. As a result of that, the mature spores can very easily spread from here. Now, homosporous means when we talk about the heterosporous, you can identify. Maybe the spores of common, no matter where it is formed, they are similar in structure. Similar in structure. Right? Similar in structure. Right. Homosporous. Right? Under dry environmental conditions, sporangium wall ruptures and release the spores. Spores are dispersed by wind. When spores are dispersed to the favorable habitat, they may germinate and grow into, now you know, I'm going to cycle another thing. When spores grow, gametophyte, yes, gametophyte is formed. Then let's look at the gametophytic generation. හරිද ළමයි sporophytic generation? Do you have any question? නැත්තම් මම යනවා gametophyte එක ගැන කතා කරන්න. The gametophyte. තේරුණා නම් තේරුණා කියලා දාන්න විතර ලේසි. කොටම ලේසියි. Understood. Good. ළමයි. So again මම කියන හැමදාම නේද botanical garden එකට ගියොත් යන්නේ එහෙම නැත්නම් Nephrolepis එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ ferns are really familiar ළමයි. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගෙවල් වටේටත් ඇති. Sometimes you may be growing for the beauty. ලස්සනට හදලා තියෙන නැත්නම් just they might be grown. Ferns තියෙන තැනකට ගිහිල්ලා බලන්න මෙන්න මේ වගේ එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ බලන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. Have you seen a structure like this? මෙහෙම ගහක් තියනවද fern එකක් දැකලා තියෙනවද කියලා බලන්න පොඩ්ඩක්. මේ වගේ එකක්. Have you seen something like this similar to this one? මෙන්න මේ වගේ, right? Which is a very primary structure. We want to gametophyte වෙලා තියෙන වෙන්නේ. This is the gametophyte image එක. You look at the image. This is the gametophyte. And again, a flattened structure එකක්. Dorsoventral flattened, flat thalloid structure. Thallus එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ, right? Very primitive, but lot of good characteristics are there. One thing, it is independent. මෙයා තනියම ඉන්නේ. It's independent. It can grow of its own. The other thing, green color. Green color. That means photosynthetic. The photosynthesis කරන්න පුළුවන්. Independent. All right. Still good characteristics are there, but cannot be even called as a plant. Ne? Now you can see that characteristic. Declining of that. බලන්න මේ වගේ පේනවද කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ. කොහේල? අදලා නිදා ගන්නකොට එන්නේ නෙවෙයි, right? When you go near some Nephrolepis plants. Nephrolepis plants in the පැත්තක කියලා බලන්න. They should be. On the දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ පෙරදිනි botanical garden or whatever botanical garden if you go, right? And then good afternoon. Now we have a lot of things to see. Well, let's talk about this. Right. It is independent, obviously. It can live of its own, right? Gametophyte is small, heart-shaped thallus. එතන heart shape කියලා heart එක මේ shape නෙවෙයි heart එක වෙන shape එකක් නේද? ඔය අර නේද? Valentine එකට දෙන heart එක තියෙන මේ heart එක. Real heart එක තමයි biology පාඩම කරන එක heart shape කියන මම කැමතිත් නෑ. නේද? Biology වල heart එක මේ වගේ නෙවෙයි නේද? දෙකක් Valentine heart එක. හරි? It's macroscopic. Right? Yes, you can see it with the naked eye. Photo එකක් තියෙන. Macroscopic, green colored and photosynthetic. That's why I am showing these images now. Yeah. අපිට මේ බයෝ කරන කාලේ මේව කරේ නේද? In a physical class you cannot do that one obviously නේද? Physical class එක මේව කරන්න බෑ. එහෙනම් project එකකට දාගෙන සර්ට මල දුකක් විඳින්න වෙනවා. It's time consuming ළම ඊට පස්සේ ඕක දාලා even a project එකේම project එකේ ලොකුවට resolution උත් නැහැ. We cannot see. ඉතින් කියන්න වෙනවා photo එකක් download කරගෙන බලන්න මේමයි කියලා. Oh, we'll have to give a print out now. Since we are doing online, but පටන් ගන්නකොට introduction එක කිව්වනේ ඉතින් talking about 6 to 7 months earlier story, right? This is the importance of our class. And this is the speciality of our class, right? Our class, right? And also, online teaching නේද online teaching වල මේක හරි ලේසි අපිට කරගෙන යන්න හරි ඒකේ maximum use එක ගන්න so when you have seen this දැක්කට පස්සේ නම් you never forget අමතක වෙන්නේ නැහැ කවදාවත් හරි physics chemistry වලට මෙච්චරම ඕනේ නැහැ අතට right rhizoids develop on the ventral surface you cannot see that much because this is the dorsal surface මේ dorsal ventral කියන එක තමයි it's not a big thing පිටපැත්ත කියන්නේ dorsal side inner side ඇතුල් පැත්ත කියන්නේ ventral side දැන් අපේ තියෙනවා right අපේ dorsal side කියන පිට කියන්නේ මේක පිටට ගහනවා පිට dorsal side ventral side කියන්නේ මේ පැත්ත when you are talking about the animals animalia වලට කතා කරන්න වෙනවා right dorsal and ventral side ඕනේ right dorsoventrally flattened කියලා කියන්නේ මේ දෙකම flat next මේකෙදි කතා කරන්න වෙනවා dorsoventrally flattened කියලා next life cycle dorsal ventral ඇතුල් පැත්ත පිට පැත්ත right antheridia and archegonia ඔන්න antheridia කියපෙන්න right antheridia and archegonia comes here gametophyte they are gametangia ළමයි archegonia are developed on the ventral side, inner side. So I cannot show it to you here. Antheridium produces flagellated sperms and releases them into the external environment. Archegonium produces one egg and retains it. Let's look at the diagrams. Lamai, the next diagram that you should draw is this one. Lamai, in this plant, we can find both Antheridia and Archegonia in the same plant. Antheridia Archegonia කියලා දෙකම එකම plant එකේ. So there is no such thing බලන්න pognatum. There are male gametophyte and female gametophyte. It was dioecious, two plants were there. But here, both male and female gametophytes, gametangia, are in the same one. So it is monoecious. Monoecious. එකේ තියෙනවා. Alright? So this is a bisexual gametophyte. Bisexual. මේක අඳින්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. This is the image that you should draw. Make me lamai. You don't need to draw the individual cells. Some cells of command no ne. Just draw the heart shaped one. Make it the heart shaped here. And draw some archegonia. Draw some antheridia. Draw some rhizoids. That's it. This is kind of an image. Right, enough. Your Balagan images I have given with you. Right, let's go to the note. Then reproduction. What's a reproduce? Motile sperms swim through external water towards the egg. Now, sperms will produce in that particular plant. Sperms antheridia, male gametangia. Antheridia produce sperms. Motile sperms means they are capable of moving. Right? Antheridia produce the motile sperm. Right. Right. Then to the same plant, other plant and puluwa, go to the archegonia. Images are there. Right? Sperm fuses with egg, resulting diploid zygote. Same story, right? N plus N. Now diploid zygote is formed. Then story diploid zygote grows into the embryo. Embryo එකට develop වෙනවා. Right? Embryo grows into මතක් කරලා බලන්න හොඳ ළමයි මතක් වෙන්න. Right? Right. Sporophyte. Yes. So from this plant මේකෙන් එනවා ළමයි mechanic පැත්ත. From this particular plant, heart-shaped plant එකකින් ඊට පස්සේ then it gives rise to the larger sporophyte. මෙයාගෙන් එච්චර. After the fertilization, zygote develops into embryo. Then the young sporophyte will remain in the gametophyte. Remain in the gametophyte. All the developmental stages are nourished by the gametophyte. As a result of that, the gametophyte gets destroyed. Point it is not given in the book. Right? When the young sporophyte develops its photosynthetic tissues, it becomes independent plant. Yes, this young sporophyte initially doesn't have independent tissues or photosynthetic tissues, but now it has photosynthetic tissues and becomes independent. Right. ළමයි බලමු ඔයගේ life cycle එක. ඔක්කොම ටික දෙනවා මෙතන. Did you understand all the things that I told you? ඔක්කොම ටික තේරුණාද කියලා මට බලලා කියන්න. Right. බලන්න හොඳට. Right. Should I explain to you one by one? Explain my life cycle. Should I explain you? Or did you understood? Did you understand? Here now that I can step pick up in the fertilizer. Image should I? Oh no. Can what? Do you have any question? Monohara get lot the Nephrolepis life cycle. Any question? නෑ නේ පොඩි ගස් දෙක නේද ඔව් වෙන්ට්‍රල් සයිඩ් කියලා ඇතුල් පැත්ත ඒකද මම මෙහෙම කියලා කො කොලයක් අරන් පෙන්නන්නකෝ මං ළමයි leaf එක in the body එක වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Take a plant leaf like this. මෙතන plant leaf කරා, right? This is the dorsal side. Dorsal side. පිට පැත්ත කියන්නේ. And this is the ventral side. In ventral side. Dorsal side, ventral side. ඇතුල් පැත්ත. So in nephrolepis අර සෝරස් අරම තියෙන මේ පැත්ත. Turn it over. Turn over කරලා බලන්න. හරිද වෙනම මම image එක දාන්න ඕනේ නේද? Right. මේක අපි කතා කරලා ඉවර කරපු එක. fertilization ඔක්කොම ටික බලා ගන්න. ළමයි this is the right any part you can start. Heart shaped one, right? Gametophyte එක. In that one antheridium is there. You can see male sperms are formed using a thin water filament. මේ ආයන ඒවා බලන්න ඒවා. In the last class I explained with respect to Pogona2. They fuse. So inside the archegonium, egg is retained. You retain කරන් ඉන්නවා. Inside the archegonium, egg fuses with the sperm. So the fertilization occurs and gives rise to the zygote. Zygote develops to embryo. Embryo gives rise to the sporophyte. මේ බලන්න sporophyte එක. It grows with the support of the gametophyte. Later, the sporophyte develops into the bigger plant. Bigger plant. Okay, another of me. The parts that are spreaded through the rhizome and you can see, right? Fiddle head leaves, right? Fronds are there. So at the lower side, right, ventral side of these leaves, you can find the sori, right? Sorus singular, plural sori, right? In that one, sporangiums are there. They produce spores. Spores go and germinate and they form the what? Gametophyte. Right. Good question. If gametophytes are monoecious, why would they need water to fuse? Lamai. Samanning pollination ki and but if the same plant, the may plant that will not mix the characteristics of two plants. Recall the cross-pollination and self-pollination. Every time the topic plants try to promote the cross-pollination. This is not pollination, because pollination but this mimics the pollination, because pollination. So they are not interested or they promote to go into a නාද එහෙම වුණත් තමයි same plant එකේ වුණා. same plant එකේ වුණා කොහොමද මෙතන මෙතන යන්නේ? ක්‍රමයක් නැහැ. ඒකත් thin water filament එකක්. But they try to go to a different plant. අන්න හරි. ඒක පොත ප්‍රශ්නයක්. මෙතෙන්ල මෙතන යන්න thin water filament supports. මේ distance එකක් තියෙනවා. right? මෙතෙන්ල මෙතෙන් එන්න ඕනේ. Thin water filament is used. හරි. Good question anyways. හොඳයි. හොඳ ප්‍රශ්න. Any other question? නැත්නම් වහලා යනවා ඊළඟට. පින්තූර බලන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ එකගෙන ගියොත් පෙරදිනි ගාඩන්ස් පැත්තේ බලන්න. Let's move forward. අපි ඉස්සරහට යන් ඊළඟ පොඩි introduction එකක් ගමු ළමයි. එතකොට අපි next week නෙවෙයි other week we are going to finish this syllabus, right? So 12 right කියලා මම දාලා තියෙන විතර try to draw this nebula base අරගෙන ලස්සන life cycle එක generate කරන්න, right? Next one phylum Lycophyta. Lycophyta ටිකක් develop මීට වඩා, right? So in this one there were two, right? This is Lycophyta, right? Lycophyta වල plant එක තමයි ළමයි. දැන් මතක් කරගන්න. Bryophyta, Pterophyta, Lycophyta. Bryophyta, Pterophyta, Lycophyta. A, B, C කියලා මම name කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒවා underline කරගන්න if you are a bit confused where we are going. Phylum Pterophyta. B. Under that one we discuss the plant. The short note එක දුන්නේ ඒකයි. That's why I gave you the short note. Under that one we discuss the Nephrolepis. Now we are going to talk about the next one, that is Pterophyta. Sorry, Lycophyta. එයාගේ plant එකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ Selaginella කියලා. Selaginella කියලා කියනවා. Right. Lycophytes are terrestrial and some are epiphytes. Epiphytes කියනවා ආපෝම කියවනේ. Right. පෙරදිනි ගාන්න ඉදලා ෆොටෝස් ටිකක් ගහගෙන ආවා කියලා ලස්සන නිසා. Epiphytes means the plants that grow on other plants. ඒකේ පින්තූරයක් පෙන්වන්නේ YouTube එකේ හරි ඔකට බලලා ගහලා ගන්න. Epiphytes. Orchids varieties තියෙනවා. නේද? පෙරදිනි ගාන්න එකේ මම ලස්සන ටික සෙට් එකක් තියෙනවා අර. යන පැත්තක lot of epiphytes are there. බලන්න ගියේ. Right. The dominant plant is what should be? then මොකද වෙන්නේ? What is the trend? Sporophyte is dominant. They produce upright stems and ground hugging stems. ළමයි. මේ upright stems and ground hugging stems කියලා කියන්නේ එක වර්ගයක් තියෙනවා මේ lycophytes වල. Club mosses and spike mosses කියලා පස්සේ later we are going to talk about it. සමහරව ground එක දිගේ මෙහෙම යනවා. Some plants just go to the club, right? Some of them are like this. සමහරව බලම් පිටුවේ. right? Both the types වර්ග දෙක. මේ සමහර ඒගොල්ලෝ මෙසේජ් කරනවා මම දන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා. නේ වෙන රාය පොඩි. oh rhizome කියලා තියෙනවා අල කියන්නේ වැඩි rhizome තමයි ඈ අල කියලා කියන්නේ right ළමයි මේක බලන්නකො මේවා ground hugging stems see this බලන්න මේක it goes to the ground the ground hugging stems මේ වර්ගයට කියනවා ground hugging stems ground එක දිගේම යන right ground එක දිගේ it goes through the ground hugging stems මේක තමයි term එකෙන් ළමයි dorso-ventrally flattened කියලා බලන්න දැන් බලන්න later the term comes dorso-ventrally flattened මෙහෙම යනවා this is one okay cock this is the upright one මේගොල්ලෝ බලන්න they are not going through මේගොල්ලෝ අස්සන් උඩට ඇවිල්ලා they are not large මගේ ගානට මේ අතවගේ ගානට මුසයි නිකස් කියලා they are very smaller ones scale comparison එකට යන්න එපා මෙතන right උගස්සේ මේ forest එකක් නෙමෙයි මේ this is somewhere around 2 to 3 inches යකල් දෙක තුනක් උසට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා right but look at the image right two types වර්ග දෙක right ground hugging stems produce dichotomously branching roots dichotomously branching roots means right දෙකට බෙදි බෙදි යනවා can you remember the dichotomous key which divides into two roots are also dividing into two let's look at them later they have strobili කියන එකත් මම පෙන්නනම් පස්සේ it in many club mosses and spike mosses club mosses means the ones which are going ground hugging spike mosses is this one it was spike moss right sporophytes are clustered into club shaped cones sporophytes කියලා කියන්නේ ළමයි sporophytes are the leaves megasporophyte microsporophyte කියලා පස්සේ කියනවා බය වෙන්න cones or strobili they are homosporous or heterosporous spike mosses are usually relatively smaller and often grow horizontally all club mosses are homosporous Lycopodium species right all spike mosses are heterosporous Selaginella that we are going to talk about in some species the tiny gametophytes live above the ground and are photosynthetic others live below the ground and nourished by the symbiotic fungi right lamai adata මම මෙතනින් නතර කරනවා so what we have discussed is the part relevant to this lesson ඊළඟ සතියේ සෙලජිනිල්ලාගේ life cycle එක මේ next week I'm not going to start ළමයි sporophyte එක මේක gametophyte එක එහෙම නැහැ කෙලින්ම ගත්ත කරගෙන ගියා so it's your responsibility අද ගිහිල්ලා මේ වගේ images බලන්න responsible to this one and ළමයි to remember the life cycles what you want to do is repeatedly draw these things repeatedly write these things නිතරම මේකත් එක්කම වැඩ කරන්න then you can remember it very well write the note draw the images draw the life cycles paste the images find the real photos them our photos දාලා නැහැ there's no point in putting photos there right photos දාන්න කවදාවත් මම දාලා නැහැ that's why I'm showing these things මෙතන photos පෙන්නනවා and you all have the google එක තියෙනනේ photos ටිකක් බලන්න check කරලා ඔය වැරදි photo එකක් හම්බුනොත් even if you think the photos are not questioned for the examination බාගේ photos අහන්නේ right ඒ photos උකට දීලා වැඩක් නැහැ ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක ඇත්තට useful දෙයක් නෙවෙයි that's why I don't give any photos right photographs are not provided for any animal එකෙත් තියෙන right but throughout the lesson just like this videos are මේ වගේ පෙන්නන right දැන් මේ photos ටික ඉල්ලන්නේ පස්සේ රත් ටික දෙන්නොත් කියලා these are taken from google එකෙන් ගත්ත right ඒ ටික බලන්න ඒසා මේක actively වැඩ කරන්න this one animalia මේක වැඩ කරපුවාම next plant lesson එක එනවා so these things ළමයි these are when it comes to some plants සමහරව අපි දැකලා තියෙන day to day life but these parts we have not seen. So it's your responsibility to go through these things and identify these things. Next week last line Selaginella and Seekers ඉවර කරන ඊළඟ සතිය. ටට්ටක් ගාලා කරලා යනවා. Next week එකේ පාඩම ඉවරයි. පාඩම කියන්නේ අනිත් plant A is finished. Plant A ඉවර කරලා දාන්න. Right? Flowering plants it takes some time. Flowering plants seeds we have to talk about seeds. Seekers second product come out. We have to talk about seekers also. It takes some time next week, but seekers ඉවර කරනවා. Selaginella dong right? Any other question? Any more questions? Any questions please? ළමයිට මොනවාරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? ඇනිමල් එකනේ පින්තූර ගොඩාක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා යා එන්නකෝ ඒ කාලේට ස්ට්‍රොබෙරි next week එකේ මම කියලා දෙන්න ස්ට්‍රොබෙරි තමයි ආවේ නැහැ හැබැයි බලන්නකෝ ගිහින් life cycles වල පින්තූර බලන්න ස්ට්‍රොබෙරි එක තියෙනවා it's a reproductive structure මෙතන today we talk something about sorus sorry කියලා කතා කරේ ඒ වගේ ස්ට්‍රොබෙරි කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා next week එක අපිට කතා කරලා මම උතන පින්තූරේ දාලා තියෙනවා ලොකු පින්තූර දෙකක් දාලා තියෙනවා ස්ට්‍රොබෙරිස් image number 14 and 15 වල තියෙන ලොකු ස්ට්‍රොබෙරිස් එක 14 15 බලන්නකො ස්ට්‍රොබෙරිස් එක හැදෙන හැටි ඒක මම ඔයාලට දුන්නේ ඒක ඉතින් බලන්න ඉන්න හොඳ ළමයි right then with that I'm going to finish today's session ළමයි හරි thank you very much and have a good night keep on working වැඩ ටික කරන්න ඕනේ යා ඉන්න කම්මැලිකමට